It is said, in one such rendition of the universe, one recollection, one remembrance, the Doctor was originally born a human by the name of John Smith, who lived an ordinary life in Shoreditch, 1963. A junior counsellor at Coal Hill School, under the alias of Tony Halfpenny, who showed only the most genuine kindness for every student he worked with, whenever they felt the need to discuss personal issues. It was on the 22nd of March that the Doctor entered the reception and approached the secretary at her desk. From his short, curly ginger hair to the vintage waistcoat, the Doctor had a rather youthful appearance in which he could easily pass for a teenager, a fact that would bring him no small grief among the students, and even some of his future colleagues at the school.
Hello. You look, well, beautiful.
The secretary looked up, her shoulder-length reams of brunette hair sweeping aside as she gave him an affectionate smile, then introduced herself in her native Blackpool accent.
Why, thank you. Your name is?
Anthony Halfpenny. Well, everyone calls me Tony.
I'm Louise, by the way. Louise McGovern. First day working here, am I right?
Yes, junior counsellor. Moved here from Ealing last week. 15 Barnes Common is my new address.
15? Wait, really? How convenient. I live just next door, at number 17. Surprised I've never caught you in the morning.
Oh, that's, well, swell. We should grab a coffee at some point. Could grab a coffee. I wouldn't want to impose.
I wouldn't mind. There's a cafe called Rose's nearby, which serves some very nice pastries.
How about tomorrow? There's also the Eurovision Song Contest, which is being hosted at the BBC Television Centre in the evening. I have 2 tickets, if you're interested.
That sounds wonderful. I'll let Headmaster Parsons know that you've arrived. Might I ask, do you smoke?
Sorry?
For the register. We prefer to keep it off the school grounds if you can.
Oh, never. Too toxic for the lungs.
I concur. Please, excuse me. If you could just take a seat.
Oh, no problem.
As the Doctor took a seat while Louise phoned the headmaster, a couple of teachers came walking through the main entrance. They were a tall woman and a well-built gentleman.
Hello, Louise.
Good morning.
Louise waved to the Doctor, who got up from his seat.
Tony, I may as well introduce you to your fellow colleagues. This is Ian and Barbara. This is our new junior counsellor, Tony Halfpenny.
Ian offered him a handshake.
Chesterton. Ian Chesterton. Science teacher.
And I'm Barbara Wright, history teacher.
The Doctor grinned, shaking the teacher's hands.
Pleasure. I'm a big fan of both subjects, actually, including mathematics.
Good for you. Quite right to always have an inquiring mind, as I keep telling Ian.
She certainly does. Wish we could stay and chat, Tony, but we have classes beginning in less than an hour. I can't speak for Barbara, but I've got a few things to prepare for my students beforehand. Come find us in the staff room around break time, and we'll have a proper chat.
Sure, I look forward to meeting the rest of your colleagues.
Well then, see you later.
Watching the 2 teachers make their way through the school corridor, the Doctor then found himself without anything to preoccupy his time. He quietly paced around the room while Louise resumed making and answering phone calls. And then, he turned to find Headmaster Parsons standing at the doorway to the corridor.
Mr. Halfpenny, would you like to come through?
"22nd of November. Another school week was finally over for the Coal Hill students and teachers. Except for the doctor, who had one appointment left. There were times when he felt trapped by expectations or, very simply, trapped. Tidying up around his small but spacious office, he suddenly heard,
Come in. Susan Foreman, good to see you.
Mr. Halfpenny.
She greeted him before taking a seat opposite.
I was just finishing some history revision.
Wow, that seems rather a lot of notes for exam preparation. You haven't been overworking yourself about Miss Wright's class, have you?
Oh, no, Mr. Halfpenny. No, it's a book about the French Revolution.
Again?
He mused on this privately, thinking to himself that death to tyrants must appeal to the school-age mind.
Yes.
She laughed, as though the very same thought had occurred to her only then.
I suppose it would, at that.
The doctor looked at her curiously, but Susan was too busy flipping through the book to notice.
Looking out for historical inaccuracies is so tiring when skimming through each page.
I know how strenuous it can be, Susan. But you shouldn't go looking for faults in the material. Your teachers know what they're doing.
Oh, I didn't mean to... Never mind, sir.
Did you take any short breaks in between?
A few times, actually. Listened to Three Guitars Mood 2 before and after Miss Wright came in with Mr. Chesterton to lend me the book.
Yes, I heard it in the corridor. John Smith and the Common Men, I believe. Numbered as a sort of call and answer to that piece by Arthur Nelson's group.
Yes, Mr. Halfpenny, that's right. It's fascinating, if somewhat antiquated. I also drew this to relieve stress.
She dug a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. There were smudges all over, which consisted of ink blots surrounded by an incomplete hexagon.
Quite rubbish, I have to admit.
The doctor picked it up from where she had discarded it upon the table, appearing to recognize the pattern.
My goodness, that looks a lot like the Rorschach test. How did you learn about this at your age?
Oh, it's only rudimentary pareidolia.
I'm sorry?
Mistaking familiar patterns in unfamiliar objects.
The doctor looked up, but Susan wasn't maintaining eye contact. She was checking the clock on the wall and shifting awkwardly in her seat.
Oh, really sorry, Mr. Halfpenny. Just remembered that my grandfather's expecting me to be back home early, in case the fog worsens.
A short session today, then, he mulled to himself. They seemed to be getting briefer these days with Miss Foreman. With all his students, come to think of it. The desire to talk, between him and Susan, seemed to be growing rarer and rarer as the year came to a close.
Your grandfather? Is it his birthday or something?
She put the paper back in her pocket and hastily replied.
Yes. We are just throwing a small, quiet party.
Ah, sounds very relaxing. Probably do you the world of good to take your mind off academic pursuits for a little while. Well, I hope you enjoy your weekend then, Susan. Safe journey home.
Same to you too, sir.
She got up and made her way out, then finally said while closing the door,
Don't take the distance to heart, Mr. Halfpenny. There's only so many places one person can be. Perhaps if there were others.
He stammered, letting his professional facade falter, just a little.
Don't know anyone else who could help.
Susan's face tickled with a sympathetic frown.
Good night, sir.
Taking a deep breath, with a sigh of relief, the doctor decided that he should call it a day and head home. It was already getting dark and increasingly foggy on the streets of Shoreditch. Walking very slowly, further away from the school, was somewhat laborious, but the Doctor was finally getting closer to his house on Barnes Common. Or at least he felt he was. It was tricky to be sure in the fog, but he still kept his focus on the pavement, using his literal perspective through it. On the other side of the road, there was something that appeared to be an entrance to a junkyard. The Doctor was just able to discern the large letters painted on the gate, which read the familiar I. M. Foreman, Scrap Merchant, 76 Totters Lane, the same night as every night previous, bar one detail. He also caught a glimpse of a long-haired elderly gentleman smoking on a pipe by the gate.
Is that Susan's grandfather?
The Doctor muttered to himself, without trying to attract attention. What was it about the junkyard that intrigued him, when he should have been resuming his journey home? The elderly gentleman turned his head to notice the Doctor, still holding the pipe in his mouth. He suddenly inhaled the smoke and began to cough. A concerned Doctor watched with fear, thinking that he should run across the road to help him. But the elderly gentleman headed back inside the junkyard, continuously coughing into his handkerchief. The Doctor remained frozen on the spot. The world around him melted, swept away into a kaleidoscope of swirling vortexes of light and sound, images flooding his mind, like a slide projector rapidly flicking through, all which appeared to be completely alien to him, and voices too.
These people are known to you, I believe?
They're two of my school teachers.
See, I knew the sort of thing would happen, you stupid child.
The TARDIS can go anywhere.
TARDIS? I don't know what you mean, Susan.
I made up TARDIS from the initials. Time and relative dimension in space.
Just let me get this right. A thing that looks like a police box, stuck in a junkyard, can move anywhere in time and space?
Yes.
We are wanderers in the fourth dimensions of space and time, cut off from our own planet and our own people, by eons and universes that are far beyond the reach of your most advanced sciences.
I was born in the 49th century.
Think what would have happened to the ancient Romans if they possessed the power of gunpowder, if Napoleon had been given the secret of the aeroplane. No, my child, we both know that we cannot let our secret loose into the world of the 20th century.
But you can't keep them prisoners here.
He also heard one voice whispering 3 words, over and over again, slurring and overlapping with each passing moment, inescapably invading his head and undeniably claiming space and time within it.